Howdy ho, friends and lovers. Welcome to part two of our Merry Reference Christmas special, but also our official 100th episode in podcasting. Whoop whoop. We love you guys so much. Hopefully, you have a safe 2020 and a fruitful 2021, and we'll see you guys soon. So we are halfway through July. I feel like this is kind of where we were feeling the brunt of 2020. You know, we were really trying to figure out, what are we doing? We want to do it. Let's try and do it. And this resulted in one of probably the most referenced episodes that I made for the remainder of the year. And it was our Shrek episode. After the uncut gems that both of us, without any sort of umbrage, agree was a terrible movie, we moved into Shrek because it was supposed to be a light-hearted film that everyone could giggle gaggle about. But apparently, OT was the ogre around the town.
I was the ogre around the town. I think it was just about the frame of my mind when I was watching it. This, however time that was, I just had a lot of qualms. But I remember watching it as when it came out and enjoying it and loving it. And my rating is fair enough to that, and it's homage to that. I am not an ogre or a grouch that doesn't like Shrek, and for that reason, I give it an 8.
I gave it an 8 as well.
You gave it an 8?
OT, you are maybe not anymore, but you were a staunch Catholic. So I feel like you're feeling the Catholic guilt and you're trying to level the field on rating it what it should be, because that episode was not what you were saying. What you were saying was not an 8.
Based on what I was saying, I'm allowed to have my qualms based off my 60th or whatever times I've watched it.
Yeah, absolutely. 60th. Okay. I feel like you're on a very niche subreddit.
Shrek is life. Shrek is love.
Oh my.
I give it an 8, and I stand by it. It's enjoyable. It's light, and in this weather and in this climate, I just couldn't really appreciate it for what it was because of the frame of mind. But it is still a classic, so an 8.
I gave it an 8 as well. I don't understand how we both arrived at the same rating. If you have listened to our Shrek episode, please tweet, Instagram, email. Please don't Facebook us. We're not about that Zuck's life. Please.
Zuck's life.
Everybody talk about, no, he's trying to buy Hawaii. I don't want that.
What?
You bring the festive cheer, but you also bring some wine, and you bring the Polynesian KT.
Yeah, and some Fanta cans.
I'm Ewa on fucking steroids, friends and lovers.
Mm-hmm.
Because I exist.
All right.
As much as OT exists. But, so this is just the first Shrek film.
Yeah.
We're not talking about the others.
Yeah.
The funny thing was, because when we release this episode, I'll tweet about it and I'll Instagram about it. And a lot of the feedback was, you need to watch the other movies. Maybe OT will have a better opinion.
I've watched them all. And I love it. Like, it's one thing to air my grievances with Shrek and still be part of the Shrekdom.
The Shrekdom, oh my. If you are a casual listener, maybe you don't care about this, but if you do care about us in some sort of ounce, this year has definitely been hard. Yeah. I feel like we were just continuing just focus on this episode of this week. Let's move, let's continue. But there was also trying to pepper in some light shit, right?
Yep.
Because there's so much heaviness that's going on and so much that we need to be conscious of because we don't want to bury our heads in sand. So it's that precarious dance, if you will, of trying to keep your foot in the world but also recharging at the same time. So we did try to keep things light on our podcast, but it also left moments where even light things weren't latching on to us.
Oh, for sure.
And that Shrek episode was definitely a very good example. I feel like you recorded it, you edited it, and you never wanted to hear it again. Because if you listen to it, it is Ogre OT all over. We've mentioned on the podcast that I wouldn't say twihard, but I was on the Twilight forums. I went to a Twilight ball. I went to Twilight midnight screenings.
If you've gone to a Twilight convention, you're a fucking twihard.
Can I also admit that I've had sex? Like, I feel like you... we get
Did
close.
you imprint on me? I'm not so sure. I don't recall a lot of things. I just remember being here and I don't know. There's a lot of unanswered questions.
This is some David Fincher shit. We haven't even got into David Fincher and you were giving this right now. The next episode after Shrek was well deserved. I don't even know why. Feel free to enlighten our friends and lovers. We covered Twilight, the Twilight series. We watched the 5 films.
We did watch the 5 films. And I had not watched, I think I had only watched Twilight. I had not watched the subsequent movies. And Twilight, do you want me to read out all my Twilight ratings?
So let's go one by one.
All right. Twilight, I gave it a 7.
I gave Twilight an 8.
Expected. New Moon, I gave a 7.
I gave New Moon a 7.5.
All right. Eclipse, I gave a 7.
I gave Eclipse a 7.5.
Cool. Breaking Dawn Part 1.
Do Part 1 and Part 2 together, and then I'll do Part 1 and Part 2 together.
All right. I gave Part 1 a 6. And I gave Part 2 a 6.
What?
I have scars. I have trauma. We've referenced this a lot of times when we were watching the Netflix skit show,
Astronomy Club,
where they're talking about having trauma. I'm okay now, but my father used to beat me. But
laughing about the way your parents used to beat you.
Yeah. Needless to say that there's like unsorted trauma that you're experiencing or dealing with.
In Breaking Dawn?
In Breaking Dawn?
How?
Part 2?
Where?
When it was all a dream?
Who?
In as much as Biggie wants to make it into a song? I can't stand for that.
Yeah, Salt and Pepper in the limousine.
I was beaten for making things into a dream. And for a whole person to make a movie into a fucking imagination and how the ending and the payoff, I had already bought into characters dying, left back and forth, and then it was all a dream. Nah, man. I do not deal with that shit. It was all a dream, a vision, whatever you want to call it. It still wasn't there. It wasn't reality. It didn't happen.
Whew.
6.
Succession, apparently.
6. What did you give it?
For Breaking Dawn 2?
Breaking Dawn 1 and 2. I was like...
You gave it a 6?
Yeah.
Okay. I am all the way splooshed. So if you, like me, need to rewind 2 minutes ago to the fact that I was the twihard, I don't understand. I actually don't understand. I didn't even like...
Do you think I was actually...
You rated it higher than I did.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. Twilight card being revoked.
So you rated Breaking Dawn Part 1, Part 2 being rated as 6. Also, if you listen to the Twilight episode, I talk about Kristen Stewart thrusting too enthusiastically is what the director said. So she needed to stop doing thrusting enthusiastically so they could get that PG rating. I feel like that's what you're doing right now. I rated Breaking Dawn Part 1 and Part 2 both a 4.
Ooh, child. Who hurt you?
Things are gonna get easier.
Wow, a 4. I felt it was definitely a fall or a dip
Why
in
did you give it a
quality.
6?
But a 6 is something that I felt, you know what? It wasn't as good as the others. But compared to what it was, it's still fucking Twilight. Like, I don't know what else you'd expect on the 5th or 6th. What was it? The 4th and 5th installment of the bloody franchise?
You know what? Even though I have no power and I don't have any technical skills, we need to have a web page on our site that shows all of our ratings for the year. Because I'm sure if you rated something a 6, it wouldn't make sense that you also rated Breaking Dawn Part 1 and Part 2 a 6.
I didn't think they were rubbish. I think they were better than Jesus Rolls.
Wow, you're coming for our film busters, friends and lovers.
I'm just saying, like, I sat there, I'd bought into the Twiverse, or whatever, what would they call it?
The Twiverse.
Twiverse? Twilightverse? Twilight Universe?
Oh my.
Tweeverse?
Oh my.
Whatever it's called, I had bought into it.
Mm-hmm.
I was living it.
Yeah.
My expectations were as low as could be.
And snap it off.
And when they did snap it off in quality, it didn't affect me because I knew this is what I deserved. And it's exactly what I got.
Okay, that's all right.
So, a 6.
Is this the franchise? Is this the young adult franchise you will die on?
It is the young franchise I will die on.
Wow.
Well, did I say that incorrectly?
No,
I can't be sure.
You said it the way the gods intended.
Mm.
The American gods, the one that fired Orlando Jones. I will fight you, motherfuckers.
And
Neil
Arcee
Gaiman.
needs to come back on, mate, in whatever shape or form.
You know what? American Gods was like Snowfall. We kept saying, let's wait until there's a new season. And we should have already covered American Gods.
Oh, we'll come to that later, I think, with one of the most recent episodes. But in terms of talking about what we should have covered, so let's continue.
Because OT is a selfish lover, I'll need to grab his abacus. But I feel like your average for Twilight franchise might be higher than mine.
Probably, yeah, probably.
Mystery to us all, we made it into August, friends and lovers, and we started with Umbrella Academy.
Oh, man. Season 2 cast happened for Umbrella Academy, in my opinion.
Season 2 was what we thought it was going to be. Season 1 completely blew us away.
Yeah.
We didn't expect so much quality.
Yeah. And for this reason, I give Umbrella Academy an 8.
I gave it a 7.5.
Yeah.
If we had rated the first season, I would have given it a higher rating.
It would probably have been way higher.
Yeah.
But just because we've seen it all before. It was just rehashed, nothing new. And for the amount of effort they put in, I'd put in the same amount of effort in rating it. An 8. Yeah.
You put all the effort, and I appreciate it. Anyway, I love Klaus. Whether I am part of or I start a cult with Klaus in it, I am most welcome. Yeah. You know what? Do you think Umbrella Academy is... Okay. If I'm talking with my KT curriculum hat, I am saying that Umbrella Academy was supposed to be the cash cow of Netflix.
Whatever it was meant to be, it just wasn't as good as the Fast. And man,
No, but I feel like commercially they wanted it to be as big as
The Boys.
Yeah.
They wish. Laugh on their faces. Nah, it was never gonna be that. the amount of it's just completely different source materials, mate. It's apple and oranges. The Boys is just the boys.
And we'll get to the boys, definitely. But I do feel like Umbrella Academy, they wanted it to be bigger than it was, but I'm not sure if it actually got there. Caleb and Dan from the Netflix and Swill podcast, feel free to tell us if that is the way it is. I'm not going to read further, but I do feel like they wanted Umbrella Academy to be bigger than it was, and I don't think it was. But I do love Umbrella Academy. Characters.
It goes into the faux pas. Of save the cheerleader, save the fucking world.
Yeah.
And there's so much saving the cheerleader that I have taken. I've followed Silla throughout his entire fucking childhood.
Oh my.
And I'm tired and I'm done. I can't follow anyone else. So Umbrella Academy, me wanting them to care about Elliot Page.
Yeah. Oh, look at you, OT.
So if he's the problem, then take him out.
Yeah. Vanya. Would you, because we're talking about TV shows and movies that we feel like people have to, consume. Do you think people have to consume Umbrella Academy?
No, because you have the boys.
Well, let's carry on. There's nothing else to say. Wow, OT. Are you ready to get on to the first guest episode that we had for this year?
Bring it on.
It's kind of sad that it was until August that we actually had a guest on our podcast, but do I even need to explain it? It was fucking 2020.
Yeah.
Historians will speak of this tale for times to come. Whether they will use podcasts as credible sources will be a question to you and I, friends and lovers. But let's continue on to our 73rd episode, Amelie, with Julio from the Most Cherished Contrarians podcast.
Man, I wanted to love this. I've always seen the poster.
I wanted to love it too.
Seems like OT would love this movie. But then when I watched it, I just couldn't connect those dots. And for that reason, I gave it a 7.
Wow, you really had to get it out before hearing Julio's.
Oh, tell me what he said about it.
I don't know why I hyped it up. All he said was, "You heard me on the episode." Do you want to guess what he rated it?
9.5 or 9?
9. Wow.
Yeah.
Do you have my passwords?
No, I think I remember vividly Julio talking about it and his feelings towards it. So, in as much as it wasn't perfect, the only score that would make sense was a 9. So, I see that.
You know what I love about Julio? And I don't know if this will stay on the podcast episode, but it will definitely stay on this video, is Julio is the best sort of mediator because he'll listen and he'll be like, oh yeah, I understand what you're saying. But secretly, he completely vehemently disagrees with you. Right?
Yeah.
The whole example and I don't want to spoil Amelie, but the whole example, I feel like what defined the episode of Amelie was Amelie trying to help this old man across the street, but then kind of leaves him stranded. So it's kind of like what collectively we all do without understanding the ramifications of the good or bad impacts.
And I think it's good to remember that the road to hell is paved by good fucking intentions.
And I feel like you just quoted me by also interrupting me, you motherfucker.
Whoa! Saint minds.
Oh, but I fucking love Julio. We love you so much. That episode was great. I loved listening to it. If you are a purveyor of the For Your Reference podcast and you haven't listened to Amelie, do it.
So I give it a 7. Julio gave it a 9. What did you give it?
A 7. Yeah, because you just quoted me. So I don't really need to say anything else. The next episode that we covered was a TV series from HBO from my lady love, Aisha Tyler. If you look in the credits, you're not going to see her. But Instagram marketing is very effective because I don't think I ever would have heard of or cared for Petty Mission unless it was Aisha Tyler showing that she got some sort of PR package from Perry Mason
Mm.
because I'm the one that introduced it to our household.
You did. You did.
I love this series. Aside from the fact that we do have Aisha Tyler in the periphery of this, I am going to share another photo. I'm just going to keep showing that one photo.
Mm.
As much as I say I moved away from my Twihard days, I do get obsessed over people.
You do.
Petty Mission, my love.
Oh, we love the good Perry Mason. I didn't even know that there was an earlier show of Perry Mason.
1950s, I think, yeah.
So this was wholly new to me coming in, and I gave it a 9.
Me too.
Oh, look at that!
Woo!
Woo. It's a good show.
And again, I feel like it's like Snowfall. It needs more attention.
It does need more attention. And once you start watching it, you really do fall in love with the characters. The characters play a big part in it.
Watch Perry Mason. It also has your Matthew Rhys.
Yeah, and the whodunit aspect of it as well will have you thinking and clawing at your hair strings.
I think that's also part of the OT FYR curriculum.
Yeah.
Oh, but Petty Mission. It's also one of my favorite episodes to listen to. Again, let's wank ourselves off because I said I listened to our episodes where we talked about Matthew Rhys playing some sort of role at Death Comes to Pemberley. And OT not understanding what Pemberley was. I'm like Jenna from 30 Rock where I have Bretonian afflictions in regards to my speech. But when I said Pemberley, I meant Pemberley. I don't care for the fact that our Petty Mission played Darcy in some other life. I also love Matthew McFadden, but I don't forgive him for trying to play Mr. Darcy at all. But there we go. Perry Mason is great. And it's also got your Tatiana Maslany.
Oh, I love a good Tatiana.
Ooh.
And I think Orphan Black will be something really big next year.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So let's move on. Something a bit more light. In our first year, also in our second year, you'll start to see that we try to measure, the levity and also the heavy sort of layers that we are deconstructing in the For Your Reference household. So as heavy as Perry Mason was in the For Your Reference household, the next episode we had was Key and Peele.
Key and Peele.
Yup.
I came at this differently. Of course, it'll have hit and misses, but rarely, if ever, would you find a sketch show that has no misses at all.
Yeah.
I gave Key and Peele a 10 because we reference the shit out of it in every single episode in our daily lives. We talk about it a lot. We what's going on, Katie?
No, I'm just trying to understand the OT from 2019 and the OT from 2020.
Oh man, 2020 has been a year, hasn't it? So
it has.
I gave Key and Peele a 10. What did you give it?
I gave Key and Peele a 9.5. So close to 10.
No one does it better.
No one
has even come close to
it. I agree. I don't think I will ever rate a sketch show as high as 9.5. And I guess let's just talk about how learned we are. Astronomy Club, you also mentioned earlier, in the podcast. A Black Lady sketch show, Robin Thede, we see you. There's also black comedy in Australia. Kia Louie, we fucking love you. But sketch shows are a hit and miss in general.
Yeah.
Whether you're the frame of reference or whether the jokes just don't land anymore, whether it's dated or whatever it is, sketch shows, I always expect that there are some sketches that just aren't going to work for me.
Yeah, it's part and parcel of what it comes with the package, And the sooner you understand that, the sooner you start enjoying it and take it for what it is. And Key and Peele took what Chappelle had left.
Oh my, look at you.
And they ran with it into the bloody horizon.
Into the sun.
Into the sun. To say, what? Bitch. But anyway, it's really, really good. Like,
we reference Key and Peele so much with my prayers.
With my prayers. Like, just everyday living, It would be something weird that Katie does, and I'll be like, throw a Key and Peele reference at it. When she wakes up, throw a Key and Peele reference on it. Everything she does, just throw a KP on it.
Is that like a paprika or a cayenne pepper?
A little cayenne pepper. Let's be more exotic.
Oh, muy caliente. Sí, papi, sí. Okay. Yeah, but I fucking love Key and Peele. Go and listen to the episode. That episode, we've had quite a few feedback on, even if people haven't watched Key and Peele, they enjoyed that episode that we recorded about it because it's so much fun.
Yeah,
it's
sure
great.
Is, yeah.
And it also shows the etchings of Jordan Peele and how he is a fan of horror, and how there is so many sketches, particularly in regards to his love for The Shining, that also appears in Key and Peele. So definitely go and check that out as well. Let's talk about September, OT. Are you ready?
Ready.
Like, I actually don't think you're ready.
I'm ready.
This was Mind Self, Katie McShane, If You're Nasty, diving into peak Denzel pussydom. And I know wine or otherwise, I tripped up on that, but you told me to say it again because you wanted to immortalize it on the fucking podcast in one of our references in The Five Bloods, right? So let's talk about not necessarily my love for Denzel Washington. I don't think I have enough for Tenet Washington. You understand if you're a movie purveyor. But let's talk about Training Day. Guess what, OT? We've also got a patron rating for Training Day. You've kind of been 100% on guessing who, or actually, I think you were wrong on one. But anyway, let's just say we're FYR curriculum. So we say what numbers are. So you are 100%. Do you want to guess which one of our patrons wanted to rate Training Day?
Would that be Paul?
Yes, it is definitely Paul. Let me read his description. I forgot what a banger Training Day is. Dialogue is on fire throughout. Every bit of awkwardness from Ethan Hawke's eager yet defiant disposition, paired with each conniving word spoken by Denzel Washington, makes even the smallest of moments feel dangerously uncomfortable. What do you think Paul rated it?
A 9.
A 9, absolutely, absolutely.
Good form.
So do you want to give your rating or I'll give mine?
I'll give mine. I gave Training Day a 9.
I gave Training Day an 8.5.
Wow.
The next episode continued in our splooshes of Pussy Valley, babe. In fucking deed.
Crooked letter, I.
Crooked letter, I. Humpback, I.
Right. Mississippi pride. Okay.
I feel like there's only one option you have to give it as a rating after that.
Mm-hmm. I give it a 9.
Oh, fuck off. Sorry, Succession. Fuck off.
I assume you give it a 10 then?
I gave it a fucking 10.
Oh, well. I'll give it a 9 because Autumn Night it just really took longer to get into her storyline, even though she was shown every single minute without knowing why she's there, why she's being like that. It was just devoid of us being fed anything on her that was just frustrating. Other than that, it's a really solid show.
All right, but not good enough. It's okay.
Okay. I see that. I see you.
I gave it a 10 out of 10. Go and listen to our episode, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
That is the best way to describe it because it's Pussy Valley, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Katori Hall has recently gotten a Lionsgate deal and has also opened up a fund for Black playwrights. So we love to see it. Absolutely, absolutely. And we fucking love Pussy Valley, baby.
We sure do.
Show us more quality.
Mm-hmm.
Chuckalisa, the accents are great, the characters are great. It is a fully fleshed out series, and I am more than welcome to continue. In that case, I do agree with you that it starts at a 10 and it's going to continue at a 10.
Okay.
Indeed. Moving on, in September, we had our second guest appearance for the year, OT.
Oh, very nice. And that was Anastasia with Angus I.T. Park.
With Elaine Best. And I guess we'll credit Fern, even though I love you, Elaine, but the same way Theo gets credited for doing nothing, we'll also credit Fern, your amazing pup, as well. So let me read what Elaine had to say about Anastasia, and you can guess what she rated the film.
Okay.
Anastasia is my all-time favorite movie and would have once gotten a perfect 10 out of 10 without a blink of an eye. After our episode, however, I finally saw the flaws I could no longer ignore. I am deducting a painful something points for stupid glow sticks and snobby royalty. So what do you think she rated it out of 10?
I think she gave it a 9.
She gave it a 9.99.
She took off 0.1. Wow.
I guess that's also a cute way of Elaine saying, I respect your opinion, but only 0.1% much.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess let's hand it over to you. So Elaine gave it a 9.99. We kind of tore down her childhood classic. So what did you give it?
I gave it a 7.
Okay.
If you listen to the epi, you know my qualms with it. It doesn't change that Boney M sing about Rasputin.
You know, well, you do know because we live together. Carnally in the most delicious of ways. I thought they were saying rah rah Rasta G.
What is a Rasta G?
Like a Rasta, and his name starts with G. I don't know.
Rah rah Rasputin, leader of the.
See, you don't even know.
I can't remember, but it's Rasputin.
Wow, that would have been inspirational if you had landed that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I gave it a 7.5. Unrealistic female physiques aside, for someone that didn't remember she was royalty, she continued along like she was.
She bought into that Queen and Slim juice pretty quickly.
Wow, that is a callback. Thank you, OT. Most delicious. We love and appreciate you.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about The Shield.
Oh, The Shield gave us so much.
And also, if you want to insert a sound effect, we have another Patreon rating. So this Patreon rating comes from Nick from the Dem Fancy Dinosaurs.
Oh, Nicky boy.
All right, so let me read it to you and you can guess what his rating was. One of FX's original and best shows ever made. and to listen to the podcast that can display its highs and lows and really get involved in the show in such a small time frame is amazing.
Nice. I think he gave it a 10.
A 9.
Okay, fair enough.
So let's talk about you. Let's talk about Shield. We were trying to find, usually we try to find a show that we can watch in between movies and limited series that can really keep us going. And The Shield was from your own volition, and you had already watched it before.
I had. And rewatching it, I caught that I picked up on things that I missed, and I love The Shield. It's not without its flaws. Nothing really is. And I gave it a 9.
Me too.
Look at that.
High 5. Look at us. Quality.
Mm-hmm.
Let's move on. This next episode was unprecedented in every sense of the word. You did make a mention to the Jesus rolls earlier, which was off the back of the Big Lebowski episode that we did on our podcast. We did vomit yourself a million times over. And we did the unfortunate, in some cases not recognized sequel, The Jesus Rolls, on the Filmbusters podcast. And it continues our love affair. And we covered District 9, which was a reference that you made in the Jesus Rolls episode. I didn't even remember how that came to be, but there you go. So you mentioned District 9 that we would cover it, and we did finally congratulatory had all of the fellas, Adam, Paul, Ben, onto our podcast in the For Your Reference podcast in 2020.
We did.
So we do have obviously a lot of guest ratings. So let me go through them first, and we can talk about how you and also myself feel about it. Let's start off with Adam.
Mm-hmm.
Every watch is enjoyable at the start, but the style is commonly used for comedies, so it's hard not to take it seriously. So I guess he's talking about documentaries or mockumentaries rather. Yeah. He gets what the film is doing, but it loses him. Can see all the messaging, but it's not enough. It's not a bad film, it's just not great. And he rated it 7 out of 7 in that podcast episode that we do have. Let's move on to Ben. Really enjoyed the themes and the idea, but after getting over that, it goes nowhere. He appreciated the personal transformation, but did not care for the last 30 minutes at the end. Vickers was an asshole and not a sympathetic character. We are made to see that Vickers was heroic and Ben was not buying it. He's not only upset, but he also wasn't a part of the system anymore, the system that wasn't serving him. And finally, we have Paul. The movie has changed Paul and his wife's lives always, forever referring to prawns as fucking prawns. All the accolades to Sharlto for his first role in stealing the show. If aliens arrived today, this is what would happen and continue to happen. So Adam gave it a 7, Ben gave it a 7, Paul gave it an 8. So where do you land, OT?
I'll live in a land of filled with references galore, and my personal point of view on stuff is really dear to me because I get to understand things at an intrinsic level.
Delightful.
That might not be suitable for someone else. District 9 fully resonated with me. I've seen it, I'd lived it, and I could not give it anything less than a 10.
Ooh.
It's a 10, it's a 10.
Or as I would like to say, ooh, ooh, Oh, because in the episode you gave it an 8.5. So it's interesting that you give it a 10 now. Let's do a callback to Paul on Whiplash. You said that if it's not a 10 from the start, it can never be a 10. And on the episode recording that you specifically requested that we cover District 9, you said it was an 8.5. And you're saying it's a 10 now.
Yeah, I've reevaluated my score simply because I had to take stock at how many movies that make me feel the way District 9 made me feel. And it's very few. And if that's not a basis on what a great movie is, personally for me, then what is?
You know what? We did talk about and joke about the fact that you're the accountant, but jokes aside, I really feel like you are. There's a liar in my house.
And why do you think I'm a liar?
Because you said it was 8.5 and you said that you can't rate things and then make it higher on the second watch.
But I'm not rating it based on something that I've watched it. I just had to take stock. And I really had to think a lot about this. I had to think about the movies that I've watched this year and what emotion drove me as much as District 9 did, and nothing came close. So by that facet, why should I rate something else a 10 that I enjoyed, then not rate District 9 a 10, something that I do enjoy and I do get emotional feels from?
Spurs.
It's not just a matter of suppose.
No, I'm calling you to accountability.
You calling me to accountability, and I'm saying I do get why I had said it was an 8.5 in the episode, but I just had to change it.
Or were you shamed into making 8.5 even though you felt like it was a 10?
No shames me. It's just a matter of reevaluating my options, and I can't think of anything perfect. They could have probably done a better story, but who fucking cares? I still resonated with that imperfect story.
All right.
So what else is there for me to go back and forth on and say that it wasn't worth that?
Interesting. For our 81st episode, we covered The Sixth Sense.
Wow.
Wow.
It ages quite well.
Absolutely.
You wouldn't know that because this was a first watch.
How dare you?
It does age quite well. And for that, I still got the same feels that I got back then. Probably caught a few more hints that were, the Easter eggs and all. And I give it a 10.
10.
I
also give it a 10, motherfucker. Yes. I feel like this has been the year for us to appreciate what we really appreciate. And if we enjoyed it, why question it beyond discussion?
Yeah, so why are you coming for me in District 9 just 2 seconds before?
Hey, dude, we're already in October.
Okay. Let the chips fall where they may.
Yeah, let the Omen chips fall where they may, or the Osmond chips, if you're welcome. Let's move on. This was a very fun. We also reference this a lot in a lot of our episodes as well, not just in Umbrella Academy. We have The Boys. We also covered The Boys in our first year of podcasting, but this year we covered specifically season 2 of The Boys.
Ooh, The Boys delivered.
Did they?
They delivered.
So let's talk about our previous ratings. So last year you rated The Boys a solid 9, and I also rated it a solid 9. So how do you rate season 2 of The Boys?
I rated season 2 a 10.
A 10?
A 10.
Okay.
A 10.
All right.
A 10. It was slow to get off the mark in season 1, and that's why I remember I gave it a 9. This time, we already knew the characters. We knew what they were going through. We knew it bought into every other one. And I know Katie has problems with Huey. That's a story for another day. I don't. And I know where this was going. And they delivered a bounce. A 10 for me. A 10.
Interesting. once the red wine has settled, I'm going to have a look at what you have rated what, and I'm going to call you in a for your reference inquisition because I do not understand how you just gave season 2 of The Boys a 10.
A 10. We get to see a
Did
lot of
you?
things. We get to see a lot of things. They set up so much. They set up so much that I'm really eager to see what season
But they
3 will
also
deliver.
repeated a lot of what we saw in season 1 already.
Not as much as Umbrella Academy, and not as much as you'd think, because you have a biased opinion against Huey. So, what did you give The Boys season 2?
I don't even feel like this is a safe space, to be honest.
It's all safe.
Last year I rated season 1 of The Boys a 9. This year it's an 8.
An 8. Wow, wow, wow. Let it rain over me.
Cause my OT don't lie. My.
Wow. 8.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say to that.
We don't need to go into it. I'm just telling you what my rating is, motherfucker.
You did. And I have nothing to say. Let's continue.
It was enjoyable in the senses that I needed to enjoy it, but it also continued the nagging themes of season 1. So that's why it gets an
8. Okay. Fair enough.
Let's move on to a ooky spooky season. Trick or treat?
Oh, trick or treat. Oh, wow. I gave it a 7.
Okay.
I had so
Rude.
many qualms with it. I wanted.
Rude.
What did you give it?
An 8.
Well, it's just, it wasn't that great.
But it wasn't terrible.
I couldn't justify giving it anything higher than a 7.
Boo.
Fair enough. So where are we heading? Are we heading into my favorite? It's my favorite, right?
It's your favorite, right?
Yep.
So to round out Halloween, we did a very special episode. We watched over 7 films, including the 2019 remake, which they didn't really acknowledge as Chucky. They called him the Buddy Doll. But we covered the Chucky franchise for Halloween in 2020.
Child's Play. Woo-hoo.
So if you've listened to the episode or if you haven't listened to the episode, OT and I had a little scuffle. I refused to have the word child and tig old biddies in the episode title. So as much as OT will defend that it's not called the Chucky franchise, I refuse to have Child's Play in the same words as tig old biddies.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know my story with Child's Play. I won't rehash it here. Do you want to go down the scores, or how do you want us to say this?
Let's do it one by one. So you start off with Child's Play. What did you rate it?
I gave it a 9.
I gave it an 8.
Okay. Not too bad.
Child's Play 2. We have another Patreon rating.
Ooh.
Yeah.
All right. Tell me.
Ben has been on a very interesting and I guess in some cases, hopefully, frightening journey in regards to horror franchises in October of this year. And he wanted to give his rating for Child's Play 2. One of the rare instances where a sequel to a horror film actually exceeds the original. Ooh.
Ooh.
Child's Play walked so Chucky 2 could run. Not since Terminator 2 has there been such a surprisingly amazing follow-up to an already incredible film.
Wow.
What do you think Ben rated it?
A 9?
A 9, absolutely.
Oh, bring it in. Ka-ching, ka-ching.
Ka-ching, you've got all the powers. What would you rate Child's Play 2, OT?
A 9.
Oh, okay.
Mm.
I rated it an 8.
Oh, okay. Not bad.
You're in Ben's camp.
Mm-hmm.
which is a great place to be, but I'm not there.
Mm.
Let's move on to Child's Play 3.
So that's why they dropped the ball a bit.
Yeah.
That's why they dropped the ball.
It's like,
a bit.
you want to continue monetary, but also at the same time, you don't have the cojones to continue.
Mm. Yeah, the cajon is gone. I give it a 6.
I gave it a 6 as well.
Look at that.
Look at us. Bride of Chucky. So the introduction of Jennifer Tilly, who we fucking love, but not the best. So what did you rate Bride of Chucky?
I gave Bride of Chucky an 8.
I gave it a 7.
Okay.
It wasn't as good. Let's move on to Seed of Chucky. Chucky. I feel like that's only for Australian listeners to understand that song.
I give Seed of Chucky an 8.
How dare you? It is a fucking 10.
What?
Seed of Chucky is a 10 in the KT curriculum.
Wow.
OT's curriculum is not acknowledged by all the Hokages.
Wow.
Yeah, dude.
A 10.
A 10, absolutely a 10.
Wow.
I don't have a reason to mark it any less. Come and fight me, motherfuckers.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, and what did you? Cool. I know that's your favorite in the franchise.
Oh, I loved Seed of Chucky. Go and listen to our episode in regards to the Chucky Child's Play franchise. But Seed of Chucky is my absolute favorite. Every Halloween is a new tradition for me.
Wow. All right. When it come to the Curse of Chucky, I give it an 8.
7.5.
Okay, we're not that far apart.
I utilized the 0.5s this year because I'm aware.
It makes a difference.
I'm very aware of the Splooshies Awards.
Yeah,
and the Sploosh Mountain. And I wouldn't want to be the one rather that tips the scales.
All right. Cult of Chucky.
8.5.
I give Cult a 9.
Ooh, because I think we both acknowledged
they brought all the favorites back.
It came back.
They were sticking to, they were building a storyline. They were like going back to what worked. And I just can't fault it. It's a 9.
Okay, I want to give my rating. Cult of Chucky. I gave it an 8.5.
Yeah, I can see your 8.5 because the 9 I gave it was just, that's where it was.
All right, let's go to the remake with Aubrey Plaza.
Oh man, Aubrey. I like the concept. The execution was poor. I give it a 6.
I gave it a 7.
Oh wow.
Because I like the way that they, obviously they didn't want to introduce the magical element to it, and they found a way to seamlessly integrate technology in lieu of the magic. So I really appreciated that. So that's why it gets 7.
All right. Cool. I see you.
All right. So we're getting close to the end of the year, friends and lovers. Welcome. It is now November and we have covered Fallen. Again, continuing the KT Denzel Washington pussydom. We now have another patron rating, OT.
Oh, nice.
And this is the last patron rating that we have for the year.
Okay. Cool.
So this is from Ben. He's saying, because Jenny introduced me to this film early in our relationship, so I knew she was a keeper with taste in films like this.
100% agree.
Also, Ben mentioned the singing scene in the police station. Because, in some cases, we've got time on our side. What do you think Ben rated The Fallen?
I think Ben gave it a 9.
An 8. Yeah. So let's talk about our ratings. You want to go first?
I gave it, where is that line? I gave it an 8 as well.
I gave it an 8.5.
Okay, cool. I see you.
I like the introduction of religion and the symbols and how it fits into or how it doesn't fit into more modern sort of life. I appreciated that.
Cool. I hated ignorance being the crouch they lost.
You're being ignorant.
Right.
So let's move into, we kind of fell into the sweet spot of the 90s, it seems. And we covered Michael Douglas for the first time on this podcast, The Game.
If you listen to the episode, you know my qualms with it. I could not consciously give it any more than a 7.
Okay. Me too. Yeah.
It's just the frustration from coming from having such a good concept and just killing everything you've set up
Yeah.
is ridiculous, is really just nonsensical.
And, you know, I mentioned it on the episode and I will continue to mention it. David Fincher, I don't know if I'm necessarily a Fincher gal, but I do love the idea of The Game as broad sort of optics in any sense of the word. I like the idea of creating, as you, one of the notable titles that you named for the year, Tailored Torture. It's a very specific tailored torture that only you with your own experience can solve these puzzles. I think there's really some girth to that. They could make a show out of that. Fincher's got his multi deal with Netflix. So he could definitely explore that. I didn't necessarily.
I don't think I trust him. I trust him doing that.
Ooh, who you fighting?
I just say I don't trust him. The way he modded it, nah, not for me.
But Murder, She Wrote. Interesting. I gave The Game as high as a rating because of the concept of the show. Not necessarily the execution. Let's also move on to where execution was lacking. The Shy. We're talking about Lena Waithe again, my love.
Oh, Lena. Jeez. And this is one of the shows, if you remember earlier, where we always hoped we'd covered it immediately as soon as we watch it and not wait for another season.
We're riding high.
The first 2 seasons of The Shy, I don't think you see or watch anything better on TV. And they just backtracked on everything they did.
Yeah.
She did a David Fincher.
Oh my.
And I could not stand for that. So The Shy, knowing full well that the first two seasons meant pretty much everything, I give it a 7. I couldn't give it any higher because I know the trajectory of what the show is going to go. And that season is just crap on a stick. I'm not for it.
Me too.
Nice.
I also gave The Shy a 7. If you listen to our episode, first 2 seasons, I would have rated it a 10 out of 10.
Me too.
It was absolutely a 10 out of 10. We get a lot of shows from New York and Los Angeles, and this show, without any frame of reference, felt very Chicago. But again,
Chicago on my mind.
Oh my, look at you. But yeah, without any sort of context, that's how we felt about the show. But if you've listened to the episode, hopefully that makes sense to you. Making sense of the world is a very difficult sort of theme to unpack. Yes, I am the Segway Queen. Look at me and praise me as your Hokage. We are moving into Michaela Cole's I May Destroy You.
I don't think I've watched anything more poignant this year. I don't think I've seen anything better written this year. I May Destroy You ticked a lot of those boxes and then some, and just reiterated our feelings on Michaela. And this show is nothing less than a fucking 10.
Yeah! Yeah! A 10. I can respect that, fam.
Mm.
Uh, we're talking about, TV shows and films that maybe you haven't checked out. Also, a shout out to all of our most beloved friends and lovers that auto download our episodes, even though they haven't watched whatever we're watching. Sometimes people do listen to it, but also out of support, auto downloading it. We fucking love and appreciate you guys so much so thank you for that. But if you haven't checked out Michaela Cole's I May Destroy You, I would implore you to check out the series. It does tackle a lot of things that I guess around the dinner table, if you're lucky enough to gather around this festive season, people wouldn't be talking about. It is something that, there are a lot of themes that are uncomfortable, but they are important to have. So, love and kudos. Go and listen to the episode. I splooshed all over it as much as I spread my tears all over it. It's a great episode and it is a great show, most importantly. So I May Destroy You. Absolutely, absolutely. That's another 10 out of 10 that we both agree on.
Nice.
It is our year, OT.
It sure is.
Our vision is 10 out of 10, it seems.
Mm-hmm.
I shouldn't have hyped that up because now we're moving into December, which in the non-linear timeline we are in right now. We released 3 episodes in December and we tried to do some Christmas episodes, and there was also a tribute episode, which we'll come to as well. So the first festive sort of film that we wanted to cover in 2019, we covered It's a Wonderful Life for Christmas. This year, for some reason, coincidentally, we also covered something just as difficult, Happiest Season.
Happiest Season.
Oof.
I gave it a 9.
Oh, man.
I did. I think there was little wrong I could see with it. It was fun. It was Christmassy. And to me, that's a 9.
How dare you?
It's a 9.
How fucking dare you have your own opinion and stick to it? How dare you?
I told you while we're watching it, I was enjoying it, and he, Katie, old grumpy man, was not having it.
Get off my lawn!
Fuzzy lumpkin, are you?
What do you think I rated it?
I think I give it a 7.
I did give it a 7. You motherfucker! I'm a mysterious woman. How dare you? I gave it a 7.
Oh, wow.
I thought you would be surprised at the fact that I rated it a 7.
Nah,
I didn't think you... I thought you thunk that I would have rated it lower.
No, I thought you'd give it a 7 just because it wasn't awful. But... No.
It was Dan Levy. Let's be fair. If Dan Levy wasn't there, it would have gotten a lower rating.
Probably.
No, I'm telling you, definitely. Definitely. Let's move into an episode that I love so much. I've listened to it so many times since we've released it. It is the standalone in Babe Law. Babe.
Babe.
Hey, babe.
I gave Babe an 8.
I'll give you another chance. What did you rate the standalone in Babe Law? Babe.
I give Babe an 8.
Boo!
Are you telling me you rated Babe higher than Happiest Season?
I absolutely did. I don't think that's surprise to no one, OT.
Wow. Okay, tell me. Now I'm curious.
I gave Babe a 10 out of 10.
Wow.
And I'll do it again, damn it, if it wasn't for you meddling kids.
I don't know even what to say. Bloody hell, man. 10.
I gave it a 10. And, go and listen to the episode. I do get worried that the only things that make me feel something are sad and depressive shit. But this was a film that was wholesome, that was light, that was fun, and I latched my sexual avatar tentacles all the way into. So absolutely you were getting a 10.
Okay, very nice, very nice. Can't complain with that.
Oh, you can. That's what you were doing for the past 2 minutes, motherfucker.
And then
And then
there's one remaining.
there is one remaining. Unfortunately, we lost Chadwick Boseman this year. I mentioned it in the Five Bloods episode. You know, there's a lot of talks, especially with the pandemic and the economics of it all. Of unfortunately, it's become a point of who's more important and who do we care about most, which I fucking hate. I've come to realize that I am not in any level equipped, or nor do I want to be an executive to make these sort of decisions. But it really became a point of who do we care about and where do we care. And unfortunately, we did lose Chadwick Boseman. My point in that is art is important. Like in the Rafiki episode, art is culture, art changes culture. I also mentioned in the I May Destroy episode that art is healing culture. I would also mention that in the Five Bloods episode, art is culture for a legacy. And in saying that, the Five Bloods was in no means a perfect film. I would also shout out again that it was the first Spike Lee joint that we've covered on our podcast as well. It wasn't a perfect film, but I will fight you motherfuckers. And I've mentioned that to the Film Busters boys. It wasn't perfect, but I love the fact that it displays more than one point of view in regards to the war, that almost all points of view loses in regards to the war. So I rated the Five Bloods 9 out of 10, my love.
Nice, because I gave it a 9 as well.
Ooh.
Woohoo.
And it wasn't even in regards to the story, or shall I say, the narrative arc in regards to it. It is more in regards to, the ambitious sort of perspectives that it decided to showcase throughout the film. OT and I have talked about films that are over 2 hours, and unless we absolutely love it, it does become onerous to watch films that are over 2 hours.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We don't have time to make a separate podcast on that specific niche topic, but it's definitely something to keep in mind of as well.
Oh, for sure.
But thank you so much, friends and lovers. We have made it to the end of 2020. Perhaps, perchance, if we're all lucky and nasty, we are looking to release a episode just to keep you satiated, to keep your palate wet with the For Your Reference curriculum. We are hoping to possibly release an episode throughout before the end of the year after Christmas as well. But thank you so much for everyone that has followed us from the start of our podcast. Also, in whatever way discovered us through 2020. We fucking love you guys so much.
We sure do love you, and we appreciate everything.
It's been a hard year, and we really love and appreciate all of the feedback that we get, all of the retweets and likes, and whatever Instagram functions that we have as well. If a lot of you that have been listening to the podcast but aren't following us on the socials, feel free to do so. I don't have anything aside of a droning IT life, so feel free to message us. I'm pretty able to reply wherever possible. But we love you guys so much. We have made it to the end of the year, and unfortunately, in some cases, we are still dealing with loved ones that are affected by the pandemic, loved ones that are affected by Black Lives Matter, whether it is in America or Indigenous lives that are in incarceration in Australia. But we love you guys so much. And hopefully, even to the most smallest extent, we have been some sort of reprieve from the real fucking shit of this life. And we love you guys so much. We've made it to the end of the year. Thank you for joining us. Do you feel like we've gotten more sharp and more refined in our second year of podcasting, OT?
I think we did. We've definitely given a whole lot of different perspectives on how we rate and stuff. So that helped. The fact that we also documented after our first sort of session what the ratings mean to us, it just made it that more clear. And having to put it down on paper made it just more easier for us to chug along and rate these movies the best we can and how well they resonated with us or how good the story was or how it wasn't.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So, if you guys are curious at any of the episodes that we covered that you haven't had a chance to check out, please do. We are moving into some very exciting times again because we did start in February. We do have our upcoming reference degustation coming up, and we have changed our tact, have we not, OT? Guillermo del Toro will need to wait because, for many reasons that we'll go into detail in another platform, Taika Waititi will be our focus for the reference degustation in 2021. So make sure you guys check out for that as well. But thank you so much for joining us. We love you guys so much. We are moving into 2021. Again, we are conscious of the fact that some people may be alone in the holiday seasons. We love you guys so much. We have almost 100 episodes. So feel free to peruse that as well. And we fucking love you guys so much. I'm always on the tweets, so if you want to follow us on Twitter or also Instagram, we're at ForYourRefPod.
Write us an email at hello@forpodcast.com.
And we'll see you guys, perhaps, but most likely, in 2021.
See ya.
Bye.